Today is June 4th, 2026. It is 2:46 a.m. This is video number 1. Happy birthday to Lilibet. I believe today is her birthday. And I think today she turned 5, right? So this is the first video. This is gonna be on APTS Sussex. So let's go on APTS Sussex so we could have the background. All right, so this is the background. Any new subscribers, welcome. Yesterday, for some reason, I thought yesterday was Tuesday, and I did that video yesterday. Usually I have a whole bunch of videos lined up scheduled, but when I realized it was Wednesday and I need to do a video for you guys, I quickly recorded something even though I was busy. And I have to apologize about yesterday's recording. I think the one on PWill, the sound was horrible, but I don't know what happened. I think I spent about an hour and a half of recording for both channels, and then when I was ready to edit them, I didn't hear a thing. The only sound that I heard was whatever video that was being played on X. That was the only sound. My commentary was not heard at all. I was so upset because I spent an hour and a half, if not 2 hours, recording, and then no sound. So I had to re-record them again. So I was kind of upset. And the momentum that I had in the original recording the first time around wasn't the same on the second time around. So I did couple demo before I started recording to make sure it works. I went on my editing program and answered the video to make sure it worked. So it worked. I'm hoping this one that I'm talking in right now works. All right, so let's go on X. I took a while to put the list together. I've been very busy. I have this on the list. Hopefully I have one recording. All right, so there's a lot going on around the world, and the Royal Rats is, running their nonsense to keep us distracted, even though I'm sharing some of these with you. But please pay attention, not only on your local area, your state, if you are in the United States, your neighborhood, whatever, because there's a primary going on leading up to November. Just look into who's running, because it's very important. Other countries who look up to us, the United States, for democratic type of principle are fighting back. But us, for some reason, majority of us are not doing what we need to do to preserve our democracy. So pay attention, even though I'm sharing different things here, but pay attention to, what politically, it's very important. All right, so this is the first tweet. Harry and Meghan, they do their job much better than William and Catherine, and they do much more on the ground. Harry and Meghan are great. They've shown that they're really, really good at the job. All right, so this one is 24 minutes. I cannot even read this, so if you could just pause and read it. So let's listen to her. 24 seconds.
Do Harry and Meghan pose a threat for William and Kate? Some people say, Richard, they do the job much better than William and Catherine, and they do much more on the ground. Harry and Meghan are great. They've shown that they're really, really good at the job.
It's actually in Harry and Meghan's interest not to tread on their toes, I think, because just as they might take attention away from Catherine and William, then William and Catherine might take attention away from...
Do Harry and Meghan...
This sounds like as if Harry and Meghan have some sort of a superpower to dictate or control the media. Yes, they are doing work, but it's not Harry and Meghan who's telling the media, the Royal Rats, to talk about them. It's like the media... How do I explain this? Harry and Meghan are not telling me to talk about them, to highlight their work. They're not telling me. I decided to do that. So these Royal Rats are talking as if Harry and Meghan are literally the one who's dictating, or they're sitting behind a, private office controlling the media in the UK or something. Like the media doesn't have a self-control. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I make sense with that. Let's read some of the comment. These are the same people who will swear today that Harry and Meghan were awful at the job and that they didn't fully outshine William and Kate. How old is this? Let me see. Okay, really old, can't remember when it came out. I do know Rev Richard Cole is good friend with Earl Spencer. Gross. Okay, let me read what's there and move on. Not a fan of the evil liar and the dog collar. Monarchy and the attention commodity of 5 and 6. Everything is based on attention. Meghan and Harry will very much like the attention not to be on them. William and Kate can have it all they want. They should just tell their minions, Rodovat, to stop talking about Meghan and Harry, period. Harry and Meghan have destroyed their own lives. No friends, no family. Okay, let me block this while I'm there talking about nonsense. Let's move on. Alright, why all the squad were posting some stuff about the royal rats? So this one is about Jobson. I don't know how recent is this as well. Okay, Jobson, the broken clock, it's right this time. Shady granddad and shittier father Charles evicted his second son's family to try to cut ties with his son, daughter-in-law, and grandkids. It's not that deep. That was the message. And it wasn't even a free house. They were paying rent. A gift, okay? A gift. They were paying rent. Oh my God.
And the PR was very much saying you can't have your cake and eat it, Harry. So if you can't keep the property and go and live in a mansion in Montecito or wherever he was going at that time. So I think it was all about the look. If you think about it, if he wanted a relationship with his grandchildren, it would have been easier. If he just said, look, we've got this property, we'll leave it, you can use it when you want to use it. And that way I get to see my grandkids.
But there would still be the issue about security and personal protection, whether the property was there for them or not.
There would be, but I'm sure that the way it's works out at Windsor, there's quite a lot of police officers on parade around the castle and around the grounds. I'm sure something could have worked out. And the PR was very much saying you can't have your cake and eat it, Harry. So if you can't keep the property and go and live in a mansion in Montecito.
Explain over. Wait a second. Am I getting this right? Because Harry has a house in the U.S., Montecito, I mentioned his word, and he cannot have the house that was gifted to him, and he was paying for it, even though it was a gift. Are these people making sense? So they're giving so many reasons. When the UK people decided to get those castles back from those people, this is a perfect reason to take those castles away from the royal family. The same reason they're giving Harry, even though Harry was paying for it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry, but did he just say King Charles evicted them because it looked bad that they had a mansion in Montecito and were renting Frogmore Cottage? How does that make sense? Thank you. How does that make sense when you have the other son with 4 mansions? That's what I'm saying. They're giving reason when it's time to take things away from them. They just can't say it was taking away as a retribution for speaking out. Yep. He said that. He was trying to say that the PR team at Buckingham Palace wanted to make a gesture that very much looked punitive, and the house made sense for that. There was no PR. Charles wanted them exiled, and he got his wish. He's never beating those allegations. And yeah, William kicked them out. I keep on mentioning that every time they try to spend it a different way. I remember reading at the time that Princess Anne was the one behind pushing Charles to evict Harry and his family from Frogmore. I rather doubt it. Yeah, I don't think Princess Anne is into those petty stuff. But hey, these people do some crazy stuff, but you never know. I rather doubt it, but I could see the Wells, Edward, and Sophie putting the pressure on Charles for the eviction. I don't know. I think it was William and Charles. That's it. I guarantee you, Charles did it on his own. Maybe Camilla helped a little. I agree with that as well. But that eviction came from Charles. You know who probably put pressure on Charles? Those courtiers. There was some issues with someone at the palace because Harry put some names on court document and he didn't want Harry to do that. So could be one of those people who pressured Charles to do it. All right, really can't believe his luck. You have to remember that at the time Charles wasn't getting any press, and he knows that's the thing he hates most. King Charles III doesn't want any relationship with Harry's children. This is obvious. I always hated when they tried to spend something that was a loud and clear message. Why is this? Oh my God, the text looks so... I don't know why. I don't know. I think I mentioned it in some videos. The font on X, it's so weird. Tom Sykes, who blew up his own career by telling one lies too many, is increasingly desperate for content. This is who he means when he says he's been speaking to sources close to Harry and Meghan. So, oh my God. He retweeted that from Kaiser Celebrity. Sykes, the Sussexes are furious about the plans to reverse Frogmore Cottage rental. Please, Harry and Meghan don't care about Frogmore. They're done with. I don't even think Harry and Meghan get up and think about Frogmore Cottage. It's past, they move on. I'll never get past the NPC she wears on her head. I'll never get past the NPC she wears on her head. Unbelievable. Okay, even if it's true, Harry and Meghan have the right to be furious because what's the reason for the palace to reverse the renovation? The same palace that was crying for years about Harry and Meghan spending too much money for renovations. Now they're acting like all the money spent is nothing to them. These people are lunatic. The wig and bully are spreading lies per usual. There's the rolling eye, the desperate cough, social clamors, support them and act as mainstream media. Tom Sykes is one of those desperate attention seekers. I don't know. I just think this is distraction for so many other things that's going on. I think there's investigation regarding the Epstein file and all of this. What is this? This is JTB. King Charles knows that whether Prince Harry and Meghan are front and center, at the very rear, or even present, the UK media will make his death, all about them. So he put Harry and Meghan front and center to assure that he is mentioned in their headline. I hope Meghan learned her lesson during Queen Elizabeth's funeral, because that's all they were talking about. I hope she doesn't show. Only Harry. All right, let's listen. 1 minute and 1 second. 11 seconds.
So now we know King Charles's funeral plans were leaked. And guess who's front and center in them? Harry and Meghan. And before you try to spin this as protocol or politeness, let me stop you right there. Funeral plans for a monarch are meticulously crafted years in advance.
Okay, I'm glad he said that, because I was about to say something in that nature.
Nothing gets included unless it's intentional, which means Charles himself made sure the Sussexes were written into the final chapter of his reign. This wasn't a last-minute PR stunt. This was a choice, a legacy decision. And let's be clear, you don't include estranged family in your own funeral unless you're either reconciling behind the scenes or you never cut them off to begin with. Given that the king's top aide was recently caught in a peace summit with Meghan's team at a private London club, this wasn't some one-off olive branch. This is part of a larger strategy. It also exposes the lie the press has been selling for years, that Harry and Meghan are irrelevant.
Maybe Charles is taking a playbook from the Queen, because on the paper, in front for everybody to see, the paper was spending, all sort of things, rift between Harry and the Queen. Meanwhile, behind the scene, until Harry says it in interviews, that, they were talking. And I remember at one point the squad was saying about the burner phone the Queen is hiding and things like that. As a joke, okay? As a joke. So maybe Charles is taking a few pointers from the Queen. But the thing is that only if Meghan shows up, only her that can, I don't know if she'll show up. I really don't know. But if that was me, I don't care what Charles said. No way I'll show my face.
Rejected, exiled. If that were true, why are they included?
Okay, so it cut short. Alright, so there's me here. Petty AF. Majority of people knew who was the star of the coronation, no matter where Prince Harry was seated. off to his Montecito mansion after a few hours of child display and pettiness of a coronation. If Harry doesn't show or he shows up, the conversation was still about him. All right, so there's that. That's during the coronation. I didn't listen to his video when I wrote this. I just went by the caption. Alright, all the same, I want King Charles III to have a few more decades since the other dude will be spiteful and petty. Suddenly, we are hoping Charles live longer. This is ridiculous. Why will Harry sit anywhere but the front row center his father's funeral next to the pager? Well, that's his brother no matter what. Okay, due to formality, you know, if you take it in that aspect, due to formality, he has to sit probably have to sit next to his brother. And this is their father. Alright, there's only two of them to be on the front row. Harry will never agree to sit anywhere else. That's not protocol. That's a good point. Exactly. I hope only Harry attends. Oh, I love you for this. I hope the same. He was not very welcoming to Meghan and Harry during the Queen's funeral. But keep in mind as well, Charles, when Meghan first went to meet the family or something, from my understanding, I felt like it was good. But then again, these people love to pretend, because Charles and Meghan had good conversation and whatnot. It seems like it's someone who put things in his head to be that spiteful of a person toward Meghan. I don't know. It seems like they had good conversation. There were good topics that Meghan was aware of and was able to discuss with Charles and things like that. But things, I don't know, could have been people saw that or the homewrecker probably put words in Charles' head. I don't know. Meg, stay home like you did at that awful coronation. I agree. Stay home. Because during the Queen funeral, when Charles could have said something, he was alive. Keep that in mind. When the Queen passed during her funeral, it was horrible, horrible, horrible of how they dragged Meghan on the tabloid. It was nonstop. They completely forgot about the Queen's legacy. This is when Charles should have said something. He was alive. He could have said something. Now, once he dead, he can't say a damn thing. Why would Meghan show up? No. It's up to Meghan. That's all I know. Obviously, he saw people call out Pa for constantly skipping black people's hand during his walkabout. So he went, quote, hold my beer. Let me go hug a little black girl. After all, we are very much not a racist family. Did he do that? Okay, maybe her could start with his brown daughter-in-law. Okay, just saying. The racist is doomed to surround himself with black people. Every black person in the UK must have been, at some point, alongside incandescent with rage or his mannequin. Okay, I don't know anything about that. Let's go to the next tweet. I haven't been online that much lately. So let's see here. What is that? The Prince of Booze. Royal charitable focus now solely on drink and football. Is this what he is getting paid? Too many commas. Where is the decimal? Okay, I guess comma. Okay. $66,666 a pound and 66 cents or pence a day. Am I reading this right? That should be a period. Okay. Is this what he is getting paid for? 66,666 pound and 66 pence a day for his new mission after ending the Middle East conflicts and eradicating homelessness is saving British pubs. He'll save them by drinking them dry. Oh my God. Okay, officer pressure. Okay, where is that? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Look at that face. Is Billy Idol an alky? British pub. Oh my God. He doesn't care. Does he have any sense of... I don't know. Does he have any comprehension of things? Alright, so there's Meredith. Well said. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Alright, let's see what this is about.
Not gonna lie, I did not have Prince William and menstruation on my bingo card, but here we are. Prince William was at South by Southwest in London today, where he was asked a question about menstrual health. And I'm going to tell you, I don't like the question, and I don't like the answer. Breaking stigma around menstruation is so important. The question was posed as, are you ready to talk to your daughter about periods?
What the hell?
William famously has a daughter. I'm old enough to remember when she was trotted out to cheer on the women's football team, because how would we know that it's a women's team if the boys were also there? Clearly, only a girl can cheer the women's team. What I'm saying is I do not like the way that she is used as the only girl in the family. Really don't like it here. When we are talking about something incredibly personal, you can break a taboo around a topic without bringing in someone who had no consent over the topic. This is super unfair to her. Not to mention the fact that a future talk, I do not know what Kate and William discuss in their household with their children, or what sex ed looks like in schools in the UK. I don't know. If we haven't had any kind of conversation around this topic by the age of 11, we might want to reconsider the focus on the early childhood years. It might be time to focus on the tween years. William is being praised for his response, in which he said, quote, "This is a topic I am not familiar with." But he said that he knows it is going to be a conversation that he would need to have in the future. He said he will try to do so with the help of his wife. What do you mean you're not familiar with the topic? You're married to a... Do y'all talk? There is nothing destigmatizing or forward thinking in this response. The man says he's not familiar with menstruation. In fact, a better answer would have been, no, I'm not super familiar with that topic, and that's a problem. I need to learn alongside not only my daughter, but my sons, because we should understand how bodies work. This should not be taboo. This is a health issue that affects more than half of the population. It is so interesting to see the response for questions they are not prepared for. But why are we hailing this as some modern response, or acting like he just acknowledged period stigma? He didn't. He just safely answered the question, because sidestepping it completely would have looked very bad. I'm so sick of rewarding absolute nonsense and mealy-mouthed answers as if it has moved the needle. And I also just feel really bad for Charlotte. She's 11. This does not need to be happening like this.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this whole conversation completely. Why did they even bring that up? There's so many other topics. Why would they even bring that up? Especially with the Epstein thing. I know they're talking about period, menstrual cycle, and things like that. Why would they bring that up? This, like she said here, I really feel bad for Charlotte. This topic they should stay away from completely, unless if the conversation is focusing on health issues and things like that for women and things. Why would they even bring that up? Oh my God. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about this, with the exception of what I've already said. Okay, not familiar with menstruation, then he needs to educate himself. Girls in the UK typically have their first period around age 12 and 13. Okay, OMG, no. It's not something that he should have covered. Yeah. Okay, maybe his answer should have been, they should be private, between a conversation between me and my wife, and probably if he doesn't know much or the wife doesn't know much, bring a professional to talk about it privately. Oh my God. Only because they want, I don't know how the question was phrased, but because they're specifically talking about Charlotte. So that should be something private. But in general, this could be a topic people could talk about, because there's other women that goes through it. But I don't know. I'm still confused as to why it was raised. Meghan have covered that with an organization, I think, is it an India or something like that? But anyway, for William, there's other conversation to bring about. Why he's going from country to country to follow a football instead of focusing on things in the UK. I don't know. There's so many other topics. Let me just leave that alone. I really do feel bad about Charlotte about that. OMG, no, it's not something that he should have covered. Kitty should have done this topic. William is too creepy. Yeah, especially with the Epstein thing that's going on. Especially, some people might say, what that has to do with the Epstein? This is something that has to do privately. Okay, let me just leave that topic off. Okay, stay mad. This is JTB because the Royal Vats, the British media is talking about him. So this is what he put. There's a music in it, so I'm probably gonna play a few seconds and then just change it and go in the comments.
Tell them can't this mama hurt. You know see a dead man them.
Okay, that's all I could. And he's dancing. Okay, that's all that is. I can share it properly due to copyright. There's me here. OMG, not Chucky. People in the squad are just laughing. Unbothered, under. There they are here. We could spend several months detailing the media allies, royal rats, online hate accounts, influential personalities, and the white-collar enforcers working on behalf of the British royal to smear Harry and Meghan. So there's all of that. Let's move on. Okay, so I think I'm done with the royal family. There's some political things. This might be part 2, okay? Because I have several other topics I want to share with you that have nothing to do with the royal family, but I think, you know, especially people in the US should pay attention to. All right, so I'm done with this. If you want to read more of this, Chucky, you could pause and read this part. So now I'm starting part 2, okay?
It is a great privilege to be with all of you today.
You know, we asked for forgiveness and please come back.